Gold miner Sibanye-Stillwater says it will challenge any attempt by the Department of Energy and Mineral Resources to suspend its license. This follows a recent threat by Minister Gwede to revoke the license because the precious metals mining company has not been operating due to a protracted 3-month-old strike over a wage dispute. Mantashe has been reportedly reacting to a statement by CEO Newzroom that Sibanye-Stillwater had enough money to run the strike for years. Joining us now for the company's reaction is spokesperson James Wellstead. James, good evening. Thank you very much for your time. Just that statement in itself, I mean, was that statement made by the CEO that you can carry on with this strike? You've got enough money?
Evening, Thabo. Yes, Neil did make that statement, but I think it needs to be put into context. What he was saying is that we would not be intimidated or coerced by the unions into accepting their unreasonable and unaffordable demands through this extended strike action, which is quite frankly having a significant impact on our employees. And he was saying that we are able to hold out for an extended period, and we won't give in to these kind of bullying tactics.
Yeah. What do you make of the posture then of the minister to say, well, that means you're clearly no longer interested in mining those minerals, which of course would put you in breach, I suppose, of the Act, and therefore that opportunity should be given to people who are willing to do so?
We note the minister's comments about the DMRE looking into the possibility of invoking Section 47 of the MPRDA on the basis that we're not producing gold at our operations. But I think I need to point out that the suspension of the operations was not something that we decided to do. It came as a result of a deadlock between the company and AMCU and NUM during wage negotiations, which began some 11 months ago in mid-2021. And it was AMCU and NUM who called the strike, which halted production and have dragged out this extended industrial action. So it's not a choice that we have. Basically, what he's implying is that we should accede to the demands made by AMCU and the NUM or potentially lose our license. But I'm not sure that is what the Section 47 is actually allows for that, or it's actually lawful to try to remove a mining right because we're undergoing strike action.
Yeah. How are those negotiations going? I mean, at some point, even the president got wind that, look, government needs to come in and assist with these negotiations, and we then saw the minister joining those negotiations. Has there been no progress made? Has there been no significant contribution that government has brought in trying to mediate this impasse?
The DMRE has tried to facilitate the engagements, and we have had engagements. In fact, last Tuesday we had our last engagement with the unions, where we came with a number of different proposals, including 5-year agreements and a potential profit share over and above the agreements or the offer that we had made. But they were all rejected by the unions. What we have done, though, this week is to actually ask the unions whether they would be willing to undergo a conciliation process, again, under the auspices of the CCMA, in order to try and deal with this deadlock. And I think they have agreed at this point to enter into conciliation under the CCMA with us.
Yeah. Although it's not the job of the minister, he says, to end the strike, but do you believe this posturing that he's currently taking maybe is as a result of him trying to end the strike?
It may be, but I mean, again, I don't think that Section 47 allows for that. Again, we weren't the ones who have called the strike. The unions called the strike, and they're the ones that can end the strike. And we will obviously have to consider the rights and the interests of our stakeholders. So if we do engage with the DMRE and they want to pursue that action, we will obviously have to consider our options at that point.
Yeah. Are you considering the option of Section 189s being issued now? The unions seem to believe you've already threatened that this is the route you're going.
That's not our intention at all. In fact, the whole point reason that we're holding out and not giving in to the demands that the unions have made is that it would result in early job losses or early closure of some of the operations, which would result in early job losses. And we employ about 31,000 people at our operations. And there would be obviously associated consequences for other stakeholders, including communities, local enterprises that depend on our operations, and even the national and regional economies. So it's not our intention. We are actually trying to preserve jobs through this process. But obviously, the longer this continues and the more losses that we incur at the SA Gold operations, there may be some restructuring that is required. But we have been urging the unions to come to the table, to come and negotiate in a fair and open manner, and let's end the strike.
James, the issue of the 300 million keeps coming up, which was awarded to the CEO. And once again, the workers saying the benefits to mine workers was firstly not prioritized, or at least not considered first, before issuing that benefit to the CEO.
So it wasn't a benefit that was offered. It's in terms of the remuneration, and a large part of that, 267 million of that was actually share awards that were awarded in line with our remuneration structures in 2017 and 2018. Now, since 2018, our share price has gone up 560%. We've grown the business from a South African gold company into an international diversified mining company. Our market cap when we listed in 2013 was 10 billion rand. It's now over 150 billion rand. So there's been significant value created in the process. We also took over these gold operations from Gold Fields in 2013 with about an 8-year life. And now 10 years later, we still have 13 years life. So we've extended, we've protected 31,000 jobs at the gold operations and done similar at the SAPGM operations, which we acquired in a very difficult position from Lonmin and from Anglo Platinum. And again, we've preserved many thousands of jobs there. So I think, the Mr. Froneman and the other executives' compensation was largely related to that increase in the share price. It is, I wouldn't say once off, but it's linked to performance, whereas the demands that have been made by the unions would add another 1 billion rand to our cost base. And that's fixed for the next 10 years. And obviously, because of that, it would have an impact on the value of the company and the sustainability of the operations.
Yeah, I did raise that point with the unions in my last conversation. They're saying, well, in the 10 years, the company has not even thought of giving the employees that share benefit as well. Maybe they could also have reaped from the good fortunes that the others are reaping from.
So we do have an ESOP in place, and Tusana Trust, where employees do receive dividends, and quite substantial dividends. But again, we offered in 2015 and in 2018, we offered the unions the option of a profit share for employees over and above the increase that we'd offered. And that would have meant in the good times, when the margins were higher and we were profitable, employees would earn more and they would share in the profits along with other stakeholders. But the unions have rejected it. And again, we made the same offer last Tuesday, and it was rejected again. So I think the unions really have themselves to blame for the position that we're in at the moment.
All right. So you're saying at this particular point in time from the Tuesday meeting, there could be some kind of a progress that we could be seeing?
We haven't made much progress. As I said, they haven't really moved from their demand. And they rejected the 5-year and profit share that we offered. But what we did do is today we reached out to the CCMA and to the unions and said, could we again try and engage under the auspices of the CCMA to see if we can again find a solution to this impasse. But so apparently they have responded positively. So we're hoping to at least reach an agreement in the near term.
All right, James, I appreciate your time. So it's heading back now to the CCMA. That is Sibanye-Stillwater spokesperson there, James Wellstead.